Aquaculture, a compound word made of two very well-known nouns, aqua and culture. But when we merge these two words into one, what exactly does it mean? According to Lucas, Southgate, and Tucker, aquaculture is defined as the breeding, raising, rearing, as well as harvesting process of fish, shellfish, aquatic plants, as well as algae and other organisms in all types of water environments. Simply put, it's farming, but inside of the water. For so many years since BCE, aquaculture has been an important aspect to the consumption sector. As the demand for seafood increases, technology has made it possible to grow food in coastal marine waters and in the open ocean. With the demands of fish for consumption rapidly increasing each year, today aquaculture provides over half of the fish product that we eat in the world. It's the world's fastest growing food producing sector and is always going to play a crucial role to help feed the earth with its ever-growing population. Some other reasons why aquaculture is so important is that it helps rebuild populations of threatened and endangered species, it helps restore natural habitats, it helps boost wild stocks of freshwater and seawater species, as well as helps with education, providing fish for displays at zoos and aquariums. However, a sector as big as this will most certainly not come without its issues, and one that it is most vigorously fighting is unsustainability. Where lies the problem, you may ask? Simple. What is the one thing you need to breed and raise living organisms? Food, or here we call it feed. For years now, to make the sector more affordable, farmed fish would be fed mostly soybean with occasional additions of wheat as well as corn. Again, so what's the problem? Reason number one, they would not have encountered it in the wild. Crops such as soybean, corn, and wheat are all obviously grown inland, hence fish, which reside in the water, will never have access to it. The second reason, not big enough nutritional value. Soy is nutritionally poor when compared to the variety of smaller fish and other sea creatures that an average fish would consume. It is, however, a very cheap option for the fish farmers, who needs to feed over 200 million fish kept in offshore cages every year. The soy industry insists that soy is sustainable, which may be true in comparison to feeding fish their natural diet, which would require more than the world's fish and other sea life for feed. However, the impacts of soy-fed fish have yet to be explored, hence the method cannot be dubbed as sustainable yet. Farm-fed soy fish also produces more waste in comparison to wild fish, leading to an increase in oceanic pollution as well as raising concerns for contamination of other sea life species. The reason for that is soy farming on a scale required to fit the huge number of farms also requires deforestation, including drying up land to grow it. Nitrogen fertilizers are also of importance when planting soy, which poses a high risk of nutrition pollution. The fertilizer may contaminate water, which will create pockets of oxygen-depleted areas known as dead zones, causing marine animals to suffocate and die. In addition to that, soy that is used as feed is predominantly from genetically modified sources. According to Castella et al., 94% of the soy grown in the United States is genetically modified, 98% of which is then used as feed livestock. This once again demonstrates that soybean feed is unsustainable and environmentally damaging. Some new evidence from Kumar et al. Also suggests that consuming soybeans may be harmful for the fish. Soy can be indigestible for some fish, and consuming it will harm their digestive systems over time, leading to inflammation on the lower intestines.
From all the problems and unsustainability caused by using conventional aquafeed that Nadine have told us, what could be the potential biotechnology solution that can improve the sustainability of aquaculture feeding? Well, the answer is with these little guys called microalgae. Using their biomass as an aquaculture feed is potentially more sustainable than the aquaculture feed that has been used before. Why do we choose microalgae biomass? First of all, these guys have an abundance of nutritional value contained within them, such as proteins from various enzymes to peptides and lectins, lipids from omega-3 acids to steroids and triglycerides, carbohydrates, one of the sources of energy from polysaccharides to starch, then minerals from iodine to iron, potassium, calcium, and even magnesium, and lastly, they contain vitamins from vitamin A to vitamin E. These nutritional values will ensure the growth and health for the aquacultures. Here we provided you the comparison between a cholera meal, a microalgae-based meal, with conventional fish meal and soybean meal for aquafeed that was taken from Baron et al. We can see that cholera meal have a lead advantage in proteins, energy giving, and most of the essential amino acids compared to the others. Other microalgae species has also been used for aquafeeds, for the feeding of Nile tilapia fish, rainbow trout fish, Atlantic salmon. Furthermore, there are still other microalgae species that also been used for various fish in aquaculture. Well, you may ask, how does microalgae aquafeed is produced? Well, we need to take a look at the bioprocessing for microalgae biomass. First, the media of the microalgae is needed to be prepared. Since it will need a lot of nutrition for the microalgae, there are a lot of options that can be used such as supplemented media or water, and even wastewater. This wastewater can come from industrial or even agriculture. We then move on into the cultivation process, where the microalgae are grown to increase their biomass and produce more of themselves. Usually they use an open pond system or a closed system such as bioreactors. Since microalgae use photosynthesis as their main engine to grow, they require additional CO2 and sunlight that will produce O2, which is oxygen. Next, we move on into harvesting, where the microalgae will undergo processes such as centrifugation and even drying to obtain the desired biomass. These biomass can be in different forms such as dried biomass, paste, and even pellets, depending on the demand. Lastly, the biomass are then formalized and used as an aquafeed for various aquacultures. Why the microalgae feed is sustainable? First, it can use wastewater for nutrient media for the cultivation process. Second, the production can reduce the CO2 or carbon footprint in the environment. Third, it can potentially have better land usage and does not conflict with human food source crops. And lastly, more nutritional values in the microalgae feed. Tellman et al. Also projected that the resource footprint of industrialized microalgae production for aquafeed will be smaller than conventional aquafeed in near future after conducting an LCA. However, it will need a lot of research and development and also, of course, scaling up. Biotechnology definitely has a role in improving the microalgae species since the research of microalgae for aquafeeds has been fastly emerging. Let us take a look at an example from Hamilton et al. That have genetically modified a microalgae strain known as Phaedactylum tricornutum. The aim of the experiment was to increase the accumulation of DHA in the strain by overexpressing alpha-6 desaturase and alpha-5 elongase, enzymes that are responsible for the biosynthesis of linoleic acid to DHA. They use a biolistic transformation of a plasmid containing the alpha-6 desaturase and alpha-5 elongase gene from a known species of Osteococcus tauri. The result was that the accumulation of DHA in the transgenic strain proved to occur an 8-fold increase compared to the wild type. Impressive, isn't it?
By implementing this solution, we can help achieve Sustainable Development Number 14, Life Below Water. Using microalgae as feeds, ensure that the life below water are sustainable, specifically to help decrease dead zones in the ocean as well as prevent fishery collapse. Microalgae will help not only underwater creatures grow healthily, but also the environment they reside in to be a better home. Now that the solution has been proposed, some policies are needed in order to stimulate its adoption. The first policy would be increasing and encouraging microalgae usage in Indonesia. The high biodiversity of microalgae in Indonesia makes microalgae's potential application to be relatively high. This also means that the opportunity of using microalgae as aquafeed to be high as well. However, not many knows of this, and unfortunately, microalgae hasn't been used as much in Indonesia. With that being said, Increasing and encouraging the usage of microalgae will help stimulate the adoption of the biotechnology we propose. Second, increasing competitiveness of microalgae cultivation and processing technologies. As there wasn't much information available of microalgae as feed, there is still a need for research aiming at cutting production, harvesting, as well as processing costs of the microalgae itself. Creating competitiveness will allow more information to be obtained as more researchers will take interest in the topic. With this in mind, the most suitable microalgae biotechnology platform should be chosen from the pool and thoroughly investigated. Selection will be done by stakeholders who are interested in funding the project. Lastly, building open access pilot-scale facilities for microalgae cultivation. For improved value for money, where money is the capital investment in developing assets for testing microalgae culture, and value is the knowledge and entrepreneurial experimentation that will be returned to the society, it is critical to create technology centers that have processing facilities that are both accessible and adaptable. These facilities, of course, must be microalgae specific. Accessible in this sense means that the facilities are created and administered in such a way that businesses and entrepreneurs may use them to test their innovations on a broader scale, as well as developing complementary new technologies. With all these policies, we believe that the adoption of our proposed biotechnology will be very much possible.